Hi, I'm Emily Keene with Keene Dressage, and today I want to talk about timing your aids. How can you time your aids so that your horse really loves being ridden? So I've talked about this concept of self-carriage, and I've talked about this concept of getting a try, and basically what it looks like is you're doing nothing on your horse, you ask for something on your horse, you reward your horse, and you return to doing nothing on your horse. Okay, so you ask, you reward, and you return to doing nothing or being neutral. You ask, you reward, and you return to doing nothing or being neutral. So how do you know what is the timing of this sequence? This is really, really important. The answer, and I'm going to talk in detail about this, but the overall answer is that the distance between your aids, okay, this timing is as long as it takes for your horse to register that you have left them alone. And if you can be consistent with this, then they will begin to register that every time you go neutral, that they've done the right thing. So that's what gives your horse that, I did it right. That's what makes horses like to work. That's where they get their intrinsic reward, okay? So on a really green horse, let's talk about what this means. On a really green horse, you might have to wait a really, really, really long time before you have your first ask. And you might have to wait a really, really long time before your next ask. And what I mean by a really, really long time is 2 times around the outside of your arena. That's a really, really long time to do nothing. Because sometimes during that time, the horse is either expecting that you're going to be busy, so they've got all these defenses and reactions, and they're having this conversation, but you're not doing anything. And it takes some time for them to go, oh, my rider is quiet, okay? Or sometimes their attention is somewhere else. They're looking out the window, or they're looking at the car driving in the driveway, or they're watching another horse, and they're not listening to you. So it takes some time for them to go, oh, my rider isn't doing anything. As the horse becomes more trained, this distance gets shorter. So let's say you have like a training level horse. It's going to look a little bit more like a few strides and an ask, and then a couple more strides, and then an ask and a reward, and then a couple more strides, and then an ask and a reward. As the horse becomes more trained, 2 things happen. This distance gets shorter, the distance between your aids gets shorter, and your aid itself should be getting lighter. So what that looks like is, let's say this is a stride, okay? And let's say that I only have to ask at half the duration or volume that I did, let's say 2 weeks prior in my training, okay? And then I might have another stride. And then I can tell that my horse has registered that they've done the right thing. And the neutral has landed, okay? And then I might be able to have another ask. And in a very highly trained horse, this gets even more refined, where you're neutral, you might have an ask, you might only have a half a stride, okay? And you might be able to make a little small adjustment. At this point, this adjustment is invisible. To people watching, it's invisible. This is a tiny, tiny little adjustment, and this is a horse that's sensitive and light and tuned into their rider, okay? And with these kind of horses, you can also have long stretches of time where the horse is in self-carriage. You don't have to ask them for anything. You might make a little baby reminder, right? And then you might be able to go for a long stretch of time and have your horse stay where you want them to stay, all right? This is one of the aspects of self-carriage that's really important, and it's one of the aspects of developing your horse's enjoyment in their work. It's really, really, really important. If you ride a horse that is here or here, that's not registering the win, or is busy doing stuff, or is defensive, or is distracted, and you try to ride them like this, where you're giving an aid really often, what happens is they experience you, the horse's experience is, if this was neutral, then, I'm smiling because there's a little bit of background noise, so excuse the tractor. We are in a barn. If this is neutral, but you never go down to neutral and your horse never registers neutral, and you're up here having an ask, 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 and the horse, what they experience is sort of this background white noise. And some horses, they just tolerate it. You know, they just go, oh, well, that's what people do, you know, they make meaningless noise. Some horses start to resent that, and some horses become dangerous. They hate it. So if you really want to have a meaningful communication with your horse, and you really want your aids to be meaningful, and you want your horse to get that intrinsic joy from the work, then you need to learn how to time your aids so that the horse recognizes their win, right? The next topic that I'm going to talk about is what's happening during this time, because you're leaving your horse alone, but you have not abandoned them, and you have not gone passive. So there's a lot happening in that neutral that is one of the secrets to good riding. So if this is interesting to you and you want to learn this, you can contact me for lessons, training, clinics, consultation. You can find me at KeeneDressage.com. Thanks.